So we are live with Dr. Cantu, who is our superintendent of our school district. And we thought we'd just kind of check in with her and get an update of where we are. In fact, we were talking the last time that we visited in a chat like this, it was over a year ago, and the world was very different. You had just gotten into your role, and then March hit us. And so it's been crazy for everybody, but we thought we'd just kind of get a little bit of an update on where you are right now. And if you want to start with that, and we'll get going.
Sure. So it has definitely been a year. I think we all know that. And not to go back over all of last year has happened. We're where we are now, but where we really are right now, Lori, is we're focused on the future. We're looking forward to the future. We're thinking in that direction. We're wrapping up right now our end of the year. We're in the middle of banquets and field trips and celebrations and graduations coming up again at Globe Life Field. And, we're excited about that experience for our students again and for our seniors and for our families as well. It was a wonderful experience last year. We just had our employee banquet last night. And so we had a huge event where we got to celebrate. This time we did it in the larger auditorium so we could spread some people out, but it almost felt like an Academy Awards.
Oh, and that's so cool.
That was, and man, some of the dresses were incredible. So it was a really, really nice event. And our elementary and secondary teachers of the year are both products of Mansfield ISD. So we were super, super proud about that. And I said, I think we're a great place to live, learn, and come back to teach. So, but we're wrapping that up. We are focused right now again on the future, bringing forward Vision 2030, which is our 10-year strategic plan we've been working on for multiple years now, getting ready to roll that out, and that officially fully launches this upcoming year. And so we're prepped for that. We're opening up 3 new schools, and that is really, really exciting, that have fine arts and STEM within our elementary and intermediate at Norwood and Martinez, and then a STEM academy at the new middle school at McKenzie. So we're really excited about that and looking forward to those events as we dedicate those new campuses coming up for the 21-22 school year. We're focused on summer school. Launching a very intentional summer school programming for our students, but also we're able to bring back enrichment this year and our camps and all of that. But with our sort of very intentional summer school, we're focused on bridging some of those gaps that have presented themselves over the last year due to the pandemic and all the adjustments that we've had to make and families have had to make. We're also planning for the fall, again, launching Vision 2030 and considering a virtual learning academy, but we're waiting to see what's going to happen at the state level, whether or not that's going to be funded for us to be able to move forward, and whether we have enough interest in it for it to be viable. And we're also really, really looking at the social and emotional health of both our staff and our students as we move into the fall of 21. And launching next school year, because we know that is something we need to really be paying attention to, and getting back to relationships and all of those things that are really, really important for our kids and for our staff, but also really important for learning.
Okay, that's a lot of stuff.
We got a few things going on. We're good.
Yeah. Well, so one of the other things, that we, the public, we're out here and we're thinking you're like the queen bee over there and you're calling all these shots, But if you could kind of share with us a little bit about how decisions are really made. And I don't mean to the, down into the weeds, but, just on the issues of like COVID and funding and stuff like that, there is a state component to it. Can you kind of tell us how all that works?
Sure. To start with, there are some decisions that are made for us at the state level through the Texas Education Agency. There are some decisions that are made for us at the local level. But if we're just talking about the decisions that we make locally within Mansfield ISD, ultimately, we always, one of our core values, our number one value is students first. And so that is the immediate and most primary lens that we look through as we make decisions as a district here. What's best for our students. We also want what's best for our staff and what's best for our families. But, you know, we're a large organization, Lori. We have over 35,000 kids, over 4,600 employees. And if you think about 35,000 kids, we have the potential of at least 70,000 parents. And so that's a lot of people. And so we know that when we make decisions, you know, when you're dealing with a large organization, not everybody's going to be happy with every single decision. And we know that. I mean, I don't know about you, but my husband isn't always happy with every decision I make, and I might not always be happy with his. Maybe your husband and you are the same way. You know, our parents, our kids, all that, anybody you're in a relationship with, you know, you don't always like every single decision, but we really, again, try to lead with what is best for kids. But
Right.
I am not up here with a yes button and a no button and slapping this one and slapping that one. But we do have processes for how we make decisions. And one of our processes that you're probably familiar with, that you've probably seen us use as a district for several years, is committees. We use stakeholder committees to make a lot of critical decisions and to help guide us in our decision making and make recommendations for us. One that's going on right now is our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. You know, they're helping make recommendations and help with our decision making as we move forward with that work. One couple of years ago was our Safety and Security Committee, and they made recommendations for us. That's one of the reasons why we have an officer at every campus. That was one of the recommendations. But when we have committees and we have stakeholder input, Vision 2030 actually started with a stakeholder committee of parents, of business leaders, college, you know, collegiate TCC, you know, all those school district people, all of that in the room as we were making decisions about that. But when recommendations come out of committees, then it comes to us as administration, and we look and say, what can we do now? What can we maybe not do now, but do later? What can we do, but we need to make a few adjustments because of maybe, you know, how it fits within education? What can we fund? What can we fund now? What can we fund later? And so it kind of comes through that as well. If when we're just looking at making budgetary decisions, we put it through the lens of, you know, does it fit with Vision 2030, with social and emotional learning, with equity, with safety, with instruction? We kind of put things through that lens. And then also right now, Dr. Scott is heading up a strategic change management process, where when there are decisions that need to be made, critical decisions, decisions that have larger impact, people will go through the process of strategic change management, and it'll go through basically levels of, you know, have you looked at this? Have you looked at this? And a part of that team is people from different parts of our district. Right now, currently, we also, and what we've utilized over the last many months, is a vet team made up of there's a campus administrator on that team, people from different departments throughout the district. When there's a decision to make, they try to look at it from every single perspective and make a recommendation to me as the superintendent on what they believe as a vet team, after they've vetted everything out, what they believe the correct decision might be. And then that comes to me for the final on that. But there are layers to it. And we really try to look at every possible piece of a decision, because again, in a large district, we know not everybody's going to be happy, but we want to do what's right and best for kids and families in the end. But it is definitely a team effort.
Yeah, that is a process. That's amazing that you guys do that. I would beg to see how many businesses actually go through that type of a complex vetting process. But the other thing is that I realize that this year's almost finished, and we've got fall 21 coming up on the horizon, and then 2022. What are going to be the top priorities as you move into this next year?
Sure. Well, one I mentioned already is Vision 2030. Again, our 10-year strategic plan. We fully launched that this fall, but we've been piloting pieces of it and working through that since the stakeholder committee initially met several years ago to start discussing what that looks like. And that is college, career, and life readiness. It's taking our guiding statements and making a few slight alterations there in our guiding statements, but we're still focused on literacy. We're still focused on now Algebra 2 readiness as opposed to Algebra 1, but college and career and providing choices for our families. So that is really exciting because we're bringing that down to the student scorecard. And so we're focused on that. That's one of our top priorities. Obviously, bridging the gaps. Bridging the gaps is something that we have been planning for and talking about during this whole time. And you'll really see, we've been doing spiraling and doing those things this year as well. But we're really, that intensiveness really begins this summer with summer school. And as we look into the fall with Vision 2030, focusing on acceleration of learning, building relationships, again, that SEL piece of making sure that the kids in their emotional state and where they are they're ready for learning. Providing professional development for our teachers so that they can support our students in all of these areas where they need. And so that's starting this summer with a lot of intentional professional development as well, so that we make sure that our teachers are supported as they move forward to provide that same support to their kids. Something else that is a very top priority for us right now is budget. And yeah.
Everybody's got that one.
Yeah, we talked a lot about it at our board meeting on Tuesday. Michelle Trongard, my chief financial officer, did another budget workshop, budget presentation, because this is definitely the most complex budget season that I've ever been through as a district administrator. And I know, talking to Michelle Trongard, it is one of the most challenging ones that she's ever experienced as well, because we have so many moving parts that didn't exist before, right? First of all, we're in the middle of a legislative session, and there's a lot out there that impacts school finance and budgeting. We have all the expenses from COVID and from the pandemic that have presented themselves. And then as a district, we lost some enrollment based on COVID. And that's true across Mansfield ISD, across the state of Texas, and across the nation. I'm sure probably across the world. Enrollment has gone down. We're very blessed in that when we look at comparison districts of like size, our enrollment is not down as much as some other districts, but we're down a little over 500 students. And the majority of those students are in our early grades, our pre-K kiddos, our kinder. And so when students aren't here, it's about 7,300 per student that a district loses. So you multiply that by a little over 500, and that's a loss. And then you have the COVID expenses, and then people might go, well, you're getting all this federal money. We keep hearing about all this federal money, ESSER 1, ESSER 2, ESSER 3, all these things, but there's ESSER 1 that was related to a lot of PPE and the things that happened between March and May. And then ESSER 2 money, we know what we're supposed to get, but we haven't heard if we're getting it, if we're truly going to get it, how it's going to be distributed. We're waiting to hear on that. ESSER 3 money, we have finally heard that we are going to get some of that, but we're only getting 2/3 of it right now. And so we don't know when the other 1/3 will come through. And if it does come through, what will the controls be on that? How will we be able to access it? Will it filter through the state? Will it offset something else that we lose some money here to get this here? And then there are all the rules and guidelines that come around how those funds can be spent. And then for us too, as a district, we have to remember that that's a one-time pot of money. So you don't want to spend it on things that are recurring costs. And we're opening 3 new schools. And the cost to open 3, which we didn't open last year, right? But we're opening them this year. They need to be open, and we've got amazing schools of choice within those campuses as well. And that's, there's an expense that comes with that. We transport our students for equity purposes. We want to make sure if you select a school of choice that you have a way to get there. But to open 3 new schools is over $10 million. And we've been transparent about that and talking about that in board meetings. And so, and those are ongoing expenses. Those aren't. Well,
and that's out of need too. It's not out of, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have? That's out of need. You have to, right?
We have to. And when you go down it, if you drive down, south on 287 and you see, where you see the New Texas Health, and you look at all the growth all the homes being built up just right around. I mean, there's an incredible amount of growth in that area, and the homes that are continuing to be built and sold. And so it's a definite need already. And then as those neighborhoods continue to grow and fill out, it's going to become even more so. And so, yeah, it's a definite need. But again, like I said, there are expenses that come with that, and they're not one-time expenses. So that ESSER money, that we need to spend time on bridging the gaps and addressing those things that some of those ESSER funds will be able to help us with. But we have a whole other set of expenses that are coming our way.
Right.
So, we need to give our teachers a raise. We need to be able to do that. We're trying to launch potentially a virtual learning academy. That's over $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there are some things that we don't know if it's going to be funded or not. And, but even if it is, it's still an expense, right?
Right.
And so there are a lot of things out there, a lot of crystal balls that we're trying to juggle that we can't predict, because we don't know if it's coming, when it's coming, what are the rules that are going to surround the money if it does come. And then, just in general, we're a very efficient district. We, you're supposed to keep around 3 months of fund balance, and we keep that. There are some districts, I mean, we keep what we're supposed to keep. You're not supposed to keep an excessive amount. And there's even some legislation maybe you've seen out there about the potential to come in and take some fund balance from some districts. And that is because right or wrong, there are some districts that carry up to a year's worth of expenses in fund balance. We don't do that. We've kept exactly what we're asked to keep within fund balance. And so we don't have this pot that we can just go,
dip
into. I mean, we can dip in a little bit, but you can't go dip into excess.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where we are. So budget is a very top priority for us and a focal point. And we're not, and we have to make decisions, in the next month or so with information that we don't have.
Yeah.
And may not have until, 3, 4, 5 more months down the road.
Wow.
Wow.
So as a chamber, we're always looking for how we can best support you. Our hope is that, we're going to be able to do the same things that we've been doing in the past, the Big Connect and the internships and stuff like that. But what I'd like to ask you is, how can we, the local businesses, what can we do to best support our public education?
I really appreciate that question, because we will take all the support that we can get, and support from our community and our businesses is so important for our students to see the businesses within our schools, and to see community members and business owners partnering with us. I think is great for our kids to see. But number one is maintaining those internships and growing them even more. We appreciate those. Those are so great for our kids. And so continuing and furthering the internships. I think for businesses to reach out to our communications and marketing department and see if there's a way that they can partner with campuses. Our campuses would love to partner with businesses, and our communications and marketing department, Donald Williams, can help facilitate some of that. When you think about Ben Barber Innovation Academy and all the different opportunities for businesses to partner there, but not just there, at a lot of our schools. And so that's huge for us. I think for businesses and community people to please stay on top of legislation. And legislation that is pertinent to public schools. There is some really positive legislation out there right now, and then there is some legislation out there right now that does not support public schools. And so just staying on top of that and being an advocate for public schools when it comes to legislation and those types of decisions. And then for me, continuing these conversations, right? So that we can come here and share with you and share with everyone what we're doing in Mansfield ISD, how we operate, and just, allowing people to hear a little bit more from us, and share all the great things that we're doing, and the things that we're working hard on, and the things that we might need some assistance with, or to be able to provide information and for people to communicate back with us too. So here's kind of what's going on. What do you guys think about it? Just sort of opening up that dialogue. So continuing these conversations is a great way to do that.
Okay, well, we can do that. So I thank you so much for your time. I know that you're slammed every day, but I appreciate you taking the time to keep us informed, and have a great weekend.
Thanks, Laura. You too.
Okay, thanks a
All
lot.
right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.